Hard and you aiming for the seven figures. Hear from the experts who know how to deliver success stories, plenty advice. Time for you to rise. REI Tribe, yeah. Real estate agents to investors. All my entrepreneurs, time for you to check this. Johan Direct, he's getting it started, man. From running businesses to digital marketing. Hey, REI Tribe, REI Tribe. Let's go.
Welcome to the REI Trap podcast. This is the first episode. This is your host, Johan. And today I would like to introduce you a very special guest, Mauricio. So to tell you a bit more about the story, how we met, every time I travel to, different destination overseas, I can't help myself. I have to go check some real estate. So every time I go to some countries, I'm always Googling, who's the best real estate agent, best real estate developer in this area. And I was in Tulum a few months ago, and actually just Googling it, Mauricio's website popped up in the top result on Google. So that's actually how we ended up meeting. And so I think most of you guys might be interested by investing overseas. You might have heard about different destinations. It's obviously much cheaper to invest in Latin America, but being Central America or South America than it is to invest here in the US.
Yeah,
and you can have a lifestyle that is very similar to what we know here in Miami. Honestly, it's like same thing, same kind of weather, very nice restaurants, a lot of entertainment around. So very, very interesting. So Mauricio, welcome on the show. Can you tell us a bit more about, your background and how you get started in real estate?
Thank you very much for inviting me, first of all. And yes, it was a really nice when I met you and you talked to me about all the investments that you have made and all the different countries that you travel in. Always looking forward to see the different kind of real estate that works in every country, and that's really amazing. So yes, we've been here. I work for a company that's called Top Investments, okay, and we've been here for more than 15 years with Top Investments. How do I start it? Well, my brother-in-law is the owner of the company of Top Investments, so it's like kind of a family business. And he invited me. I back on those days I work in Monterrey, Mexico. And he invited me to join him and told me, like, I have a lot of work here. Please join me. And for my wife and myself with my kids, we've always dreamed of retiring and living here in Playa del Carmen and Tulum and Cancun. It was our dream. So we talked to each other and said, like, what if we, instead of retiring here, we fulfill our dream of living in the paradise? And that's when we decided to make a change and came from Monterrey, Mexico to live in Playa del Carmen and started working on real estate. So that's like kind of where we started.
I guess as far as your company by itself, in 15 years, they probably experienced such a huge transformation because, I don't know if Cancun was already a touristic destination 15 years ago, but I know that in just a few years, if you look at Tulum, like, real estate development has really boomed in the area and it's completely transformed. So you probably see this change every day happening. It's very exciting.
Yes, well, back in 15 years ago, it was Playa del Carmen had the same boom that Tulum is having right now, okay? And the pioneers of Tulum started investing 10, 15 years ago in Tulum. In Playa del Carmen, a lot of people were starting to invest. You saw a lot of developments back in those days that were already starting to develop here in Playa del Carmen, but not in Tulum. So back on those days, investing in Tulum, it was like gambling, right? So you were gambling in favor of Tulum. And it worked a lot for those investors that started in Tulum because there was nothing back in those days in Tulum. So yes, it was amazing seeing all the growth that we have in the Riviera Maya. Cancun was already a really solid and consolidated, not country because it's a city, so consolidated city. The tourism in Cancun was already really amazing and well known worldwide, right? So Playa del Carmen started like a lot of people coming in here, European peoples. There's a great community from Europe and from the US. They started coming to Playa del Carmen and then Tulum.
From what I understood, so back in the day, I think it was like when we met, it was almost a year ago. I think it
More
was
or less,
last
yes.
yeah, approximately a year ago. And I remember that I had to land in Cancun and then rent a car to drive to Tulum. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I think now there's an international airport in Tulum. So it's probably going to bring like even more attractivity to the real estate market because now you can really fly directly from Miami to Tulum.
Definitely. And it's a project from the actual president. There's two really interesting projects for this area. The one is the International Airport of Tulum, that it will be they will finish in December of this year. Right now it's 50% done. You can actually go and see in Tulum the construction and it's amazing. You can see it, but it will start working in December of this year, hopefully. The other really interesting project that it's coming is the Mayan train. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a train that will connect a lot of the south part of Mexico. For example, you can go from Cancun to Tulum to Playa del Carmen to Mérida to Chiapas, that it's another city from Mexico. You can all go in this train that will connect, okay? And it's amazing because imagine coming people from the US or Europe, and when they came back they came for a week maybe, they stayed on a hotel that it's all inclusive, and they didn't get to know the area. And it's really, Quintana Roo, it's more than the ocean and more than that. There's a lot of stuff that you can see, cenotes, the ruins. There's a lot of culture in here. So imagine having this train that will connect you, and instead of being on a hotel that it's all inclusive, you can stay on an Airbnb, for example, or in the same hotel, but taking a train that in maybe half an hour you will be from Cancun to Merida, or you will be in Tulum on the same, you can go back and forth the same day, and it will be really easy to connect to all these places. Bakalar, Tulum, Chetumal, Palenque, Chiapas, all these places, and you will be, instead of the whole week being on an all-inclusive hotel and getting to know just the beach and the hotel, you will be able to go all around this area, that it's beautiful and it's amazing.
That's amazing because that's really what I like to do. You know, I like to go out and explore.
Yes.
That's why I spend as little time as possible in the all-inclusive hotel. And Cancun, Tulum has a lot to offer, but
Yeah.
I already share this feedback because last week I was in Dominican Republic in Punta Cana, and I had exactly the same thing. We went on a field trip to Santo Domingo for one day. And the guide was explaining to us that unfortunately, even though Dominican Republic, just as Mexico, has like a beautiful architecture and history and everything, but most people just stay, you know, enjoy the buffet in the all-inclusive hotel and never actually leave the place. So even though they travel, they never really experience the culture of the country.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
it's a good thing.
Yeah, for example, there's you know, Chichen Itza, right? That it's amazing, Chichen Itza. People from around the world come to visit exclusively Chichen Itza. Well, there's another ruin that will be open to the public next year on May the 2024, that it's called Ixcabal. Those ruins are in Bakalar. And those ruins are more important politically speaking from the Mayan, okay? And they're bigger than Chichen Itza. So imagine the history will change for all of us. And you can see that if you pick up the Mayan train, and if you're staying in Cancun or in Tulum, in the same day, you can go back and forth and see these amazing things that the Riviera Maya offers to you, right?
It's very interesting because in the last few years, I feel like all the countries kind of like stepped out of the train line because of the development of airlines and everything. And now we're coming back at it. You know that in Florida, we have exactly the same thing. We have
Okay.
the Bright Line that has been developed in the last few years. and now it's connecting Miami to Orlando.
Wow.
And the plan, I think, is to cover the entire East Coast. But in the train where actually it's all Florida got discovered back in the day, like the first train line was connected an hotel here that was built by Flagler back in the day, and that's how Florida, started to be developed. And over the years, I don't know, like the train line had been cut completely. It's more for like industries, and
Okay.
the airline had been developed, but now we're kind of going back at it because it's a very efficient way to travel around, and it's pretty
Totally.
ecological. So it's a good way. So very very interesting. So uh, tell me a bit more about what your company provide exactly to your client. First of all, I would say the first question would be, what kind of clientele do you serve? Is it mostly people from the city, from like Mexico City, investing in Cancun and Tulum, or is it mostly foreigners bringing capital from abroad?
Well, there's actually both. I can say half and half. 50% Mexico investors and 50% foreigners. Either from Europe, we have a lot of people that it's looking forward to invest in Mexico, and also from US and Canada. There's a lot of investors interested because, as you said, it's not the same to buy something in Florida. It's with $5,000, $500,000, you can maybe buy a studio, and here you can build a really nice house. So it's really different thing, and it's really interesting. So basically, it's investors that want to either put a project for the rentals and invest in Airbnb, or people that wants to have a little space to come with the family, make their vacations, usually in the paradise. And so we have a lot of kind of investors. That's the interesting part of what we do. With our clients and with our investors, the first thing that it's really important to understand is what are their needs, right? Because it's really different when someone wants, for example, if you want to buy an apartment, it's not the same if you want to buy an apartment to come with your family, not to put it on the rentals, not to lend it to anybody, and you want a really exclusive apartment for your family. That's someone that wants to buy something for as an investment, or to flip it out, buy it on the pre-sale, and before they get the title or the deed, they can resell it, or someone that wants to put it on the Airbnb. Everything or every different option creates a different opportunity for the investors. Okay, so the one that the best option for the one that wants to come for the family, it's not the best option for the one that wants to invest and resell the apartment. So first of all, you have to understand what your investors are looking for. Okay, and from there you can talk to them and see what are the best options, and present them maybe 3-4 different options that are the best for them, or that are the best options on the moment with the best developers. That's a really important thing, because we work with the best developers. We can work with a lot of developments and a lot of developers, but you have to know where to put your money, because sometimes, and that's a fact, maybe they won't finish, or they're not the best quality. And I want to tell my investors, it's important to see that also the quality of what you're getting, right? So yes, basically that's what we do.
I mean, we already experienced it when we went together to see some apartments, because you could see from one development to another the quality. You can see that some of them,
Yeah.
in order to deliver very fast a product very cheap, have a tendency to cut some corners. Like, sure, it looks nice when you look from afar, but when you
Yeah.
look in the details, everything is kind of falling apart. But then you had some development where everything was, honestly, the quality was even better than what we can find here in Florida as far as the finishes and everything. But obviously, those were a little bit more expensive because it's a better quality of development. So I totally agree. And it's very difficult to notice those things when you're buying a project just looking at the renderings and plans. So
Yes.
that's where having someone with your expertise that has already done this legwork of checking the background of the developer and previous projects and everything, that's where it's very, very valuable. And I think as well, like, that's why I was asking you the question about people from the city investing in Cancun and Tulum, because when we talk about investing overseas for Americans, I've seen a lot of, in different countries, projects being built only for foreigners. And the problem is with that, you don't have any local market. You don't have any locals actually buying those projects. If I understand correctly what you were saying, it's not the case in Mexico, because the same development that you would sell to a foreigner, you're going to have some people from the city, from Mexico, buying units in the same building just because it's a good investment even for locals, right?
Exactly. That's the main part, that a lot of people, and that's interesting because when I've talked to foreigners, they tell me like, it's the same price for us than for the Mexican people. And I'm like, yes, we're telling you the same prices, the same developments. That will be the same. What changes maybe, for example, but talking about locals that live in Quintana Roo, in Cancun, Tulum, Playa del Carmen, that maybe we want to buy something where we can live and be near the schools and the different things or needs that we have for ourselves. But as an investor, we provide the same projects for a Mexican people than to the foreigners, okay? So it will be exactly the same prices, the same discounts that we can get. The only thing that changes, and remember, it's that foreign, when they buy in Quintana Roo, they have to get their own develop or their properties through a trust. Okay, there's two ways to get property in Quintana Roo: either a trust or creating a company. Okay, so those are the two ways that you can get your properties in here in Quintana Roo: either creating a company or a trust.
I was going to ask you about that, because that's the part that, a lot of people might wonder, okay, I'm interested, I want to buy a property there. Like, what does it take to actually buy it? It's not as simple as it is here in the US, where you just walk to a title company and they take care of everything for you. It seems complicated, but it's actually not that complicated, right?
Yeah.
And your company take care of everything.
Yeah, we work together with a really good group of lawyers that can help with this. I always tell my clients, if you're interested in buying a couple or more than one property, maybe the best option is creating a company, okay? Because it will help you with the taxes and all that stuff. But if it's only one property, you can do it through a trust, and this is with a bank here in Mexico. You also have to work with the lawyers that will help you with this process, but it's really simple, and it's not expensive also. It's more or less like $2,000 to create a trust. And after that, you will pay like 0.08% of the taxes a year of the property. So it's really...
tax, right?
Yeah.
When you say 0.8%, okay. So
Yeah.
you pay it anyway. The property tax doesn't matter if you're a company or a trust, you're
Yes.
going to pay it anyway. Right?
Yeah, you have
so
to
what
pay.
kind of taxes do you save when you open a company? Is it on your rental income?
Yeah, for the rental income, that will help you to reduce, and because there's a lot of things that you can do with your accountants to reduce the taxes that you will have to pay.
Clarify, because people hear a lot of things about Mexico. It's safe to invest, right? It's not like if an American buys something, the property is going to be his property and no one can steal it.
Definitely. What happened? The concern is because a lot of years ago they were having problems. Why? Because, for example, I don't know, 20 years ago, if you buy something, you will have to get in contact with a Mexican guy. For example, you buy a property, a beachfront property, and I will have to sign for you. As a friend, I will tell you like, okay, I will sign for you, and the property will be under my name, but we know that it's yours. Okay, but suddenly if I'm dead and my kids are like kind of greedy, they will say that that's my father's property, and legally it was my property. Okay, so that's when the problems for the foreign started. Okay, but with the trust, there's no way that this will happen. Okay, and the trust you can
And document.
exactly, and the trust you can heredit to your uh, sons and daughters. So that's also really interesting for you.
Now, I would say, sometimes we have like, I know that in the US it doesn't really happen, it's very rare, but I know in some countries, sometimes when you buy, for example, a house, you own the house, but you don't own the land below it. It's more like a concession, like you
Okay.
can use the land for like 90 years, 80 years, whatever is on the contract.
Okay.
Uh, what happened in Mexico? Is it the same thing? Like
No.
today, if I buy a house, am I like fully owner and my family can inherit from the house and like keep it for the next 300 years, or
Yes.
or do I have to give it back at some point?
No, 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 no. When you buy a house, you buy the lot or the land in the house. So it's yours completely. Yeah. Eventually,
That's very
if
good.
your grandsons want to turn down the house and make a brand new house, they can do it as well.
I think one of the concern that a lot of people might have because of, people just don't know Mexico that well after all. And, we have all those shows that we see on Netflix and everything. That's probably
Yeah.
most of the education that people have about Mexico. So I think some people might think, when I travel to Tulum, a lot of people were like, oh, it's not safe. Don't go there. I'm like, I should be fine. But they had exactly the same reaction when I traveled last summer to Colombia. But my point is, what is the situation right now in Tulum, Cancun, Playa del Carmen? People might be a little bit scared about, some stuff that we see in the news and stuff like that. So you're living there every day and you have kids, they're going to
Yeah.
school, all of that. So tell us a little bit more about what the life really is there.
Look, obviously there's a problem here in Mexico with the security, but I don't think that, and I don't want this to sound bad, but I don't think it's worse than any part in the world. Unfortunately, you see a lot of bad stuff happening also in the US, in all around the world, right? People killing. I don't know if it's the social media or the values that we are losing values, but I live and I feel really safe living in here. My wife, when she tells me at night, I'm going to go to the supermarket because I need something, I feel free to let her go instead of, no, you know what, let me go for you. And no, nothing happens in here. And actually, if you dig in a little bit more and tell me the amount of deaths in either Tulum, Playa del Carmen, or Cancun, you will find out that it's not that much. A lot, I don't know, 5, 10, what on during the entire year. And unfortunately, for example, in the US, and again, it's nothing against that. I love US and I go a lot, but you can find that maybe per month or
It's what happened every week in Miami for sure.
yeah. So
Um,
it's really safe, and I don't say that. I'm not saying that there's nothing happens because it happens, and there's also a problem, but I feel really safe living in here. I think the social media. Remember that Tulum, Cancun, and Playa del Carmen, it's a city, or there are cities that all around the world are looking at them to see if they can come and visit, that it's a a paradise to come and vacation here. And people all around the world want to come here. So what happens if something bad happens, it will be worldwide news, right? Everybody will tell somebody died in Cancun, somebody died in Tulum, somebody died in Playa del Carmen, when really they don't talk about the other good stuff that is happening around. Because what they sell, bad news sells, okay? And unfortunately, all around the world, it works the same. Bad news sells and not the good stuff. But no, it's really safe to come in here. I talked to a client that comes from Sweden, and he was telling me, like, I was really scared coming. I usually go and back to Thailand, and all my vacations are in Thailand. And he told me, like, it's the same time, flight time to come to Mexico. So I decided to come with my family, visit for a whole month and stayed here, rented a car and go all around, the Riviera Maya. And he told me, like, I feel really safe. Nothing bad happened to me. My family, it's in love with Mexico, in love with the culture in the Riviera Maya. And he was like surprised, and he told me like, unfortunately, the news don't help you, but I'm telling all my friends that it's beautiful and it's amazing to come here. You can go all around, and nobody will disturb you.
I totally agree with you. I think newspaper, unfortunately, it's always been like this. They need a good hook, and so they need a headline that shock people and get them to buy the newspaper. So
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but if they were like doing a newspaper with a headline, everything is beautiful and fine, in Cancun, it wouldn't sell. But and I feel too like. Unfortunately, there's a past in cities like in countries like Mexico, just like, as it is in Colombia.
yeah,
That is a beautiful country too. And people kind of like keep in mind what happened, 30, 40 years ago, and and keep like having the same thing happening over and over again. So, but it's very interesting to know that, I've been there on vacation. Everything was fine. I even
yeah.
got lost on the way between Cancun and Tulum. I got lost in some little village with like probably 10 people living. I stopped by. People were very, very helpful. So I felt perfectly safe there. And I mean, you're living there, and you're the living proof that everything is fine. Um,
That's great.
can you tell me a bit more about, what can people find really in this? So it's really, I'm talking about the real estate market, but it's really three very distinctive real estate market between Cancun, Playa del Carmen, and Tulum. So can you talk a little bit more about, the specific of those three market? I feel like it's different kind of profile of clients depending on what they're really looking for, and then what kind of opportunity can we find there?
Of course, and we can add. I could add a fourth one that it's Bakalar. It's an Bakalar for me today. It's like the people that were looking at Tulum in 2010 or Playa del Carmen in 2000. It's like the pioneers are really investing right now in Bacalar because everything that is coming. Bacalar will be one of the stations of the Mayan train will be in Bacalar. I don't know if it will be one or two stations over there. So it's really a nice opportunity also to invest in Bacalar.
Like between this new place, Bakalar and Tulum, for example, what are we talking about? Is it like 20% lower, 15%? Like what's the difference of price between those two cities?
Well, you can find, for example, land in Bacalar for 900,000 pesos that will be in US dollars. Let me take out the, for example.
To me in US dollar, my friend,
Yeah.
because I won't be able to. Last week I was in Dominican Republic in Punta Cana, and like the guy asked me, send me an invoice for like 50,000 or something like that. I was like, what? But then it was actually nothing in US dollars. So.
No, for example, in Bacalar you can find land, rural land, or how do you say it? Rural land?
And like a land to be built, right?
Yeah, for $50,000, 10,763 square foot. Okay, so it's a really nice opportunity. This it's with a financial option of 2 years financial, no interest. So it's Bacalar. It's like kind of the new opportunity. But talking, for example, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, it's different. The three of them, as you said at the beginning. But for example, for me, Cancun, it's there's a lot of hotels. There are not that much Airbnb options. So it's kind of interesting for the investors to look also at Cancun because there are not a lot of Airbnbs. So if you find a really nice option that we have, it it becomes an opportunity because it's like how do you say it in English? A nicho de mercado. It's like something new for Cancun, something really near the ocean because everything in Cancun, remember, it's hotels, 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 right? Because when they built Cancun, there was nothing, Airbnb didn't exist. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I had exactly the same discussion in Punta Cana with someone there because we are talking about selling properties for Airbnb, and I was like, "But wait a minute! Everybody that comes to Punta Cana, they want this all-inclusive experience. They want the all-you-can-eat buffet and everything." And she was telling me, "Yeah, but it's actually the clients for those Airbnb are actually not the Americans. They're actually people from Dominican Republic or living in the US, Dominicans living in the US. When they move back home for the vacation, they don't go to those hotels. They would rather rent an entire house because then they can have family stop by or people from across the island can come and, like spend a few days. So is it the same thing for you? Like in Cancun, would it be more like Mexicans renting the Airbnb because they want to have the family and everybody around?
No, I think it's different because remember that are people that want to go to vacation and don't move, stay at the hotel on an all-inclusive, and that's it. But there's a lot of people that want to go on vacation and get to know everything around. And it doesn't make sense to pay an all-inclusive and go all around and eat outside and pay all around the Riviera Maya or all around Cancun, different restaurants. You're already paying the food for the all-inclusive. So it's a lot of people. For example, when you go in Tulum, there's a lot of people from the US and Canada that go to Tulum. And everything in Tulum, basically everything, it's Airbnbs. So there's nothing or nobody offers this in Cancun. They're starting to make some developments in Cancun that will offer be either at the beach or really near the beach where you can go to a beach club and eat and as well stay in Cancun where there's a little bit more. Cancun, it's maybe like a Miami, a little Miami, right? All the shopping centers and all the shopping malls and really nice and fancy restaurants and all that. But on an Airbnb and not on an all-inclusive. Playa del Carmen is, I think Playa del Carmen, it was before all the party and you want to come and have fun. It was Playa del Carmen, but it's been changing a little bit. Playa del Carmen now, there's a lot of community growing in here, families. Back in 2000, 2010, there were not a lot of families in Playa del Carmen. It was like Tulum, everything was party. Right now, there's starting to build a community all around Playa del Carmen, and it's really nice to come and see. I really love Playa del Carmen, and I live in Playa del Carmen, so we're just in the middle, the same distance, or basically the same distance from Playa del Carmen to Cancun or from Playa del Carmen to Tulum. So if you stay in Playa del Carmen, you can go to both worlds, and you can also go either to Merida. You can move all around. So there's a lot of interesting options in Playa del Carmen. There's not a lot of hotels, maybe at the Riviera in between Playa del Carmen and Cancun and in between Playa del Carmen and Tulum. And there's a couple of hotels in downtown Playa del Carmen, but there's a lot of Airbnbs where you can find really nice prices and really nice options. In Playa del Carmen, it's a famous Fifth Avenue where there's a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of shopping, a lot of Mexican stuff, artisans, artisans.
Craft and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. That built from Mexican people, and it's really nice to walk all around the Fifth Avenue. And well, Tulum, it's more party for more people that wants to come and. Also, Tulum also, for example, it's party on one side, but also the people that likes yoga and spiritual being.
That's what I would say. I'm not such a party guy, honestly. I stopped doing that years ago. But yeah, Tulum is really a special place in my
Yes.
opinion. Like I really love it there because it has such a unique vibe that really you can't find anywhere else. Because let's be honest, like when you go to Cancun, you can find, in the Caribbean several places that have the same kind of like big hotels and
Yeah.
everything. It's very similar. Tulum is very unique. I never found any place like that. I haven't been to Bali yet. Some people told me that Bali has a similar vibe,
Yeah.
but yeah, Tulum is very unique. But I personally don't party that much. But I think like there's amazing restaurants, or
Amazing restaurants.
if you're a foodie, there is. all this yoga and spiritual thing and all of that. And
Yes.
I really enjoy it. And even simplest thing, with one night we just went to the kind of, I don't know if you can call that downtown, but like the main street in Tulum, and we had some food street, like tacos and everything
Yeah,
in the street, and it's so nice. It's animated. Everybody is there. It's such a great vibe. So I really love this city and the fact that you can just ride your scooter around and everything
that's
is very close
amazing.
by.
That's amazing. A lot of people say, uh, how do you move all around Tulum? And a lot of people go around with the scooters, with bicycles, and it's amazing to see that everyone is walking all around. In Mexico, we're like, we never walk. That's a fact. We want to like everywhere, even though it's really, really close, we will pick up the car and go on driving. And in Tulum, you see a lot of people walking, going on the scooters, and this is beautiful and this is amazing. You can go and see, for example, I don't know if you went to the Mayan ruins that are right across the ocean, and you have amazing views over there.
When I go somewhere, I do the full touristic thing. Like I did the cenotes, I did everything you can think of.
Yeah, the cenotes, the ruins. When I took my kids to see the ruins, and we were like, here were all the Mayans in here, protecting and making all the how do you say the customer or the commerce all around with other people, and then from Tulum you can go to Coba or to Valladolid. There are little towns in around, and it's beautiful.
There is this thing too. I think it's closer to Cancun, maybe. But I went so a few years before I went to Cancun with my kids, and we went to this park. I forget the name. Iscaret,
Yeah,
something like.
whoa, it's amazing. Xcaret have like seven different theme parks, okay? One it's Xcaret, and it's beautiful. As you said, there's a lot of exposure, and there's a lot of shows that all the shows in Xcaret talk about the culture in Mexico. Actually, the last show that they have, I don't know if you were able to see it with your kids. They talk all the history of Mexico. They during a show that it takes around 1 hour and a half, 2 hours. They talk about the history of Mexico, and they do it in specific way, or a really emotional way that it's. They have international prizes on that show that it's amazing when you see it, and you get to know a little bit more of Mexico.
This one, but I was actually very fascinated because it's very hard to keep kids focused, especially on like cultural
Yeah,
things. But they loved it. For them, it was a right mix of like Disneyland
yeah.
with the Mexican culture in it. So they had a great time, and I think yeah, it's a very very interesting place. So there's so many things to be seen, and you can really not see everything in one week. But
Yeah.
let's get back to the real estate to
Yeah.
the real estate part. So tell me a bit more about real estate specific. Someone today that want to have, let's say, they have approximately a budget of 250. First of all, is it possible to get financing in Mexico, or do you have to come with cash?
No, it is possible to get financing. It depends on which, if it's, for example, a pre-sale project, most of the developers give you the option of financing during the construction, okay? So it's really amazing. Other developers give you the option of, for example, 30% down payment and 70% upon delivery. So what I
Plan, but do you have any financing on, like, let's say, hey, I want to buy this apartment and I'm going to pay my mortgage on the next 10 or 15 years? Is it something that is doable?
Yes, not with the banks. Specifically, there are some companies that we can always recommend you. They exist. For me, it's better to get for example, a credit from the US. Why? Because the interest rate in Mexico, remember, it's uh, around, I don't know, 10 to 12%. And in the US, I believe it's like 5, 6%. So it's always more interesting to get a financial credit in or mortgage in the US. But there are
Same
options
point.
in here. Yeah, there are
That's a
some
very
companies.
interesting. I think you told me last time the interest rate was very, very high. So
Yeah.
I actually went into like looking at option after we talk, and I'm going to record an entire YouTube video on this topic. But I think I found the perfect way to actually finance a property in Tulum if you have the cash available here in the US. And we do that here through a very specifically built whole life insurance policy that allow you to basically earn an interest on the cash that you put in the policy here in the US. And
Okay.
right after you put the cash inside, you can borrow against the policy at 4% interest rate. So
Wow.
basically, instead of having to pay 10, 12, 15% interest in Mexico, you just borrow against this policy that you have here in the US. Your money is still in the policy, it's still earn interest, but you can then use the capital to do to buy a property in Tulum,
That's
which is going to generate some income on its own because that's where I'm getting now. Like, what can you do with this property? Because I'm here living in Florida. I love Tulum, but I'm not going to come to Tulum once a month. So if I want to use my apartment, 2 times a year, what can I do with this property the rest of the year?
Of course, you can put them on Airbnb and Booking on all these platforms that they can work. What I always advise my investors is get a really nice property manager, a really good property manager that will help you with the rentals. Okay, and what do they do? It's receive all the clients that come and make them like the checklist. This is what you have. This is what you're able to do, etc., etc. Give them a really nice it's important to get a really good property manager because it's like half of the job. Half of the rentals are a good and nice apartment with really nice amenities that can provide you a really nice location. But the other part is like your property manager works as a concierge. Okay. So if you give the customer this extra that can help all your clients to feel like home and get all the options and all the comfortable and have everything really good, well done with your apartment. This is a really nice 50% that will help you to rent it. But answering the question, it's when you want to come, you have your own apartment and the rest of the year you can rent it out. And at least for me, at least you can get an 8% return of investment. That would be like the lowest thing. So if you're paying a 4% interest in the US, you're still getting a little bit more from the rentals, okay?
We're talking about an 8% return on investment. So it's once everything is already paid, right? You already pay for your property tax, for the management fee and everything, or is
Yes.
it
No,
a
no, no,
gross
no,
number?
no, 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 no. I think it will be after everything paid. For me, it's a
That's a very good That's a very good return because honestly, for something comparable here, so of course you can like we get this kind of return if you invest in in the Midwest in some Class B neighborhood, but for some properties as nice as the one that I've seen in a location where I would go spend sometimes, I would even live there. Uh, 8% return on investment is incredible. In Miami, if you buy a condominium in a nice location, not even talking about the price tag,
yeah.
you're going to get a 3%. You're going to get a 3% return on your money,
Wow.
not more than that. So that's very interesting. Now, let's talk a little bit about appreciation. Like, do you feel it's a market that has still a lot of rooms to grow? Like, do you see the price keep like raising and raising year after year?
Well, yes. Also, of course, it depends on the developer and it depends on your investment. You have to be really wise on where to put your money, right? A lot of people don't think about it, but talking about the location, talking about the amenities, talking about what are you offering different from the your neighbor, right? So also it could be inside your apartment. You can put a really nice design inside, and that's something different. A lot of people, for example, rent their apartments with a scooter, and that gives you an advantage from the other people that are renting. So for me, it's like when I talk to the investor, it's let's think of a really nice place where they can, I don't know, today everybody wants to take pictures and put them on Instagram, Facebook, or the all TikTok or everything, right? So what are you giving them so that they can make the vacation be on the social media and they can take all the pictures and all that stuff? Exactly, yes. So what are you offering them? A really nice spot where they can take pictures, the scooter that makes a difference, or maybe a bike, whatever. But this helps a
Bike.
lot.
I would prefer a bike. I would be afraid of the liability of the
Well,
scooter, but
of course, no, I understand it, but it
I
makes
totally
difference.
agree.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
It makes a big difference.
And
I totally understand.
and also it's important the stage where you invite your investors. There's, for example, you can invest on an apartment when it's a friends and family option. And this is for the ones that are really nice, or looking for a really nice capital gain, because you're buying where when there's nothing built, when there's everything on paper, right? But you're buying and you're buying at a really low price, okay? From there comes the pre-sale when they starting the construction, and but the price went up a little bit, okay? And after that, you can buy something already built where the capital gain, you will still get capital gain, but not as the same as the ones that invest in friends and family. So it's kind of what do you need? But also the ones that invest on something that it's ready to deliver, they can start putting their apartment to work, right? So
And I remember us having this conversation because I can't help it. I'm a distressed investor. So when I go find some deals, I'm always like, find me a good deal. Find me someone that need to sell right now. I want
yeah,
something already built where I can just negotiate. I can't help it. But then you explain to me, and it makes perfect sense that you can actually find a better deal on the new development because then you buy, as you say, at a lower price, and then you can even sell at different stage of the construction. You don't have to
exactly.
actually close on it. You can sell it during construction, or even better, wait until the apartment is delivered and you already have an upside even getting the keys of the apartment. You already make a
And
profit on it, so
exactly.
you can flip the paper this way as well, which
Yes,
is very
you
interesting.
have to ask because not all the developers allow this, but most of them do. Okay, because they know that the first investors they want to maybe flip it and resell it a little bit and get a capital gain or get something of advantage from there. Most of them know it, but you will always have to ask your real estate agent, hey, can we resell it before they deliver? And that's the only thing that important to know, right?
I remember, and it goes back to renting on Airbnb and doing this whole short-term rental thing. I remember that you told me most of the apartments that we visited are actually sold with the furniture, so you don't need anything. Like they're already fully furnished, and you can buy them all stage with even like the plates
Yes.
and everything, right?
I don't know if most of them, but there are a lot of developers that sell like turnkey, right? And there are other ones that tell you like you can buy and put your own equipment.
I remember visiting this apartment and we're talking with the property manager that was, managing it as a short-term rentals. And I was like, oh, the furniture is beautiful. It
Yeah.
was really like the Tulum style and everything. And I was like, what if the tenant mess it up and break the sofa? And you're like, don't worry about it. Like it's the standard from the residents. They can go buy another one. They're going to switch it. You won't see any difference, and because it's all made for rental investment, so it's
Yes.
everything is already perfectly set up. Now when we're talking about property manager, would it be a third party, like you choose the company you want to work with, or is it the developer that as their own management. Let's say, hey, I buy in this residence, so I have to use the rental office of this residence.
Usually, this is two ways. Either the developer, but it will work more as a condo hotel, okay, where they tell you like, we're going to rent it out and we're going to make all the property manager, but that's kind of a different, also a nice, interesting way to invest. And there's the other way that a third party makes all the property manager, the booking and all the, you need to repair something out. If they need something of maintenance inside the apartment, they will take care of it. But yeah, there's like two different ways. Or one is like the condo hotel where the developer says we're gonna manage all the rentals, and there's the other way that you can pick up your own company or pick up a different company and put it on the rentals, right?
So one of the things that you told me earlier is that, of course, you do real estate in general, so you can help anyone from the guy that wants to buy a condominium to a house or anything. But there is something that you really specialize on, and I think that's not something very common. You specialize in land, and so you can help someone basically invest in land, but
Yes.
also help them build their dream house. So uh, if you had to start like all over again, like you don't know anything about Tulum, you go to invest in Tulum, what would you do? Or in Mexico in general, would you rather buy a condominium or would you rather go straight to land development?
Well, for me, Mauricio, I love investing in land. I have a couple of investments made and it's land. Why? Because it depends on what you're looking to do, right? If you want to build a house, you buy the land really cheap, and after that you can build your house and build it as you want, right? As also as you, everybody has their own different needs. Okay, so it would be for me, for example, I will always need a, if it's a two-floor houses, a two-level houses, I need a small bedroom on the ground floor because I have my mom and my mother-in-law. They're people that don't want to go up and down the stairs, right? But this is my need. I'll maybe another one wants all the entertainment part of the house on the ground floor and all the family stuff on the second level, right? So it depends on the needs. For me, it's starting the project, buy the land really cheap and build a house. But remember that all the projects, the real estate starts with land, right? So if you want to build something, if you want to build a hotel, somebody had to buy the land and from there build these multimillionaire projects. So if you buy a really nice piece of land, from there maybe you can build something really interesting, a development of 10, 12, 6 apartments that maybe you can get really nice profit from there. Okay. So I think the most interesting or where you can get more capital gain and get more money and get more it's more attractive for me to invest in land that to invest in something that it's already done. Okay. I'm not saying that I haven't. I bought a couple of apartments in for example in Cancun. But most of our investments of my family it's in land.
Just to recap a little bit what you said, so for you, the advantage of land is that you have two different options. If you want appreciation and cash flow, you can buy your land, build your house, and we're
Yes,
going to explain how you can help them do that. But you can also just see it as a pure investment. You won't get any cash flow, but you can just buy the land, just like create a real estate holding where you keep this land. The area is going to appreciate over time because land is valuable because it's limited in one area. So as new real estate development go up, your land is going to increase in value.
exactly.
And then from there, you can sell it to another developer or decide to build a house down the road. So you can really do both things with land that you can't really do with a condo.
Exactly. Exactly. That's that's for me the most interesting part, that you can do both, either create a project for yourself or leave the land over there, the natural growth of the area, they will get a lot of capital gain for your property, then you can sell it.
Let's say I want to do that. I think my next question would be, how the hell am I going to manage that? Because I'm here in Florida. I I barely like speak a few words of Spanish, not enough to manage a construction site. And I know that construction, because that was my job back in the day in France. I was doing land development, so I know what it is to be on the job site every day and
Yeah.
manage everybody. It's very time intensive. So how do you manage everything here from the US? How do you manage a construction project in Tulum? Like, how would that look like
For
exactly?
example, what I like to do with my investors when they buy land, and they, for example, I have some of them that are building really nice houses. I have the architect. We work with a group of architects that can do the project for them. And we like to make a Zoom call every month and show them all the advances of month by month. And we have a calendar that works. And this month you can expect this, and this to be done. On the second month, this, and this for the second month. And we have a calendar. And from there, we can, on the Zoom, and we can see the calendar and see if we fulfill all the schedule that we had, and if we're going with the schedule.
What is the role exactly of an architect? Is it just drawing the plans,
No,
designing the house, or do they also are they also builder? Do they
no,
manage the construction?
the company that we work with, it's they do all the construction. We have some already projects that they can buy a project that we already have, or they can start from zero. They can draw the project.
Houses?
Exactly.
You have
Yes.
a catalog. I can say, hey, out of those 10 different models, I want this one. So we
Yes.
already know pretty much how much it's going to cost. But I also have the possibility to come to you and being like, hey, here's a nice drawing of the house that I want. How much would it cost to build it, right?
Exactly. You can say this, and I want this. I have special needs because anything special case that you have, and with the architects, they will draw or make the project from zero, start the project from zero. Yeah.
Let's say I know it's a tough question because there is many, many variables, but let's say I buy a piece of land and I want to build my dream house. Let's say this dream house is approximately 2,000 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and something like modern in architecture, like what you guys have in Tulum, like flat roof, everything pretty modern. Uh, First question, roughly, and you can give me a range. I don't expect an exact number, but roughly how much it would cost, and then how long would it take to build something like that?
For example, let me make the conversion in dollars, okay? But I'm gonna go high, okay? I'm gonna go high. Do you prefer high or low?
I prefer low, but I want you
Let's
to
go
give me a range.
let's go low, okay? Um,
It depends a lot on obviously the finishes and everything, but it just to have a range, of approximately how much it costs. Because at the end of the day, I think our audience wants to know, okay, with this amount of money, I can do something like that.
yes, for example, the 10,763 square feet land, okay? From there, imagine that you want to make, I don't know, let's say 200, 300 square
This
meter.
piece of land, this piece of land, how much would it cost roughly? 50,000, 100,000?
For example, the ones that we have in Bakalar, it's 50,000. Okay.
It would be way more, right? Expensive, I assume.
No, no, no. For example, right now we have land this size, 10,763 square foot for $50,000. Okay. And let's say you want to build a nice house of 3,229 square foot. Okay, let's say this. You can maybe build something for $260,000.
You're roughly at 300,000 roughly, all included.
Yes, but it's a three bedroom, even maybe four bedroom.
The big
3,000.
three.
It's a really nice and really big house. Okay. Yeah, we have, for example, we have houses in here around, let me tell you in dollars, two-bedroom house for like $145,000. Houses of two-bedroom.
Price of those two bedroom is
Like
135,000.
$145,000 houses.
And that's for a two bedroom.
Yeah, for a
Is
two-bedroom.
it just the is it just the construction or does this include the land?
No, this will be only the construction. I have, for example, for a two-bedroom, I have, I think, one house for $220,000. And the land, it's around average says 6,996 square foot, the land. That will include, on this 220, it includes the land and the house.
Just for everybody to understand a little bit better. So first of all, to finish on this construction part, how long does it take to build one of those houses?
Between 8 to 10 months, more or less. Maybe we can say a little bit less, but remember it depends. Here it rains a lot, and it depends on the weather, and it depends on the permits and all that stuff that we take care of. But we like to get a little bit of how do you say the time frame, time that we
8 to 10 months, like sounds good to me.
yes.
I'm always scared when I hear people tell me, "Oh, we build very fast. We can build it in 3 months." And then I'm
No.
like,
No.
you don't leave any time for just even the concrete to dry, and then
Exactly,
the
yes.
house start to
No, no,
crack
no.
a few months later. So
Yes. No, I won't say
it's
3 months
it's
because
very good.
it's not. But yeah, 8 to 10 months it would be for sure a good time frame.
And so to understand a little bit more, what kind of land is that? Is it something with a view of, I don't know, lakes, water, or is it in the jungle? Like what kind of land can we expect?
We have a different kind of land in here, and of course, the prices will change depending. If you want a land with an ocean view, of course, it will be much more for that price, right? But there's the jungle in this place, and you won't let me lie. The jungle in here in this area, it's amazing. You can surround your house from trees that are more than 15 meters height. So imagine building a house surrounded by these trees. It's beautiful. It's beautiful living in here. And I say it as a personal thing. When I came here, I come from Monterrey, Mexico, which I love, but my house was surrounded by concrete and other houses, and there were no trees. Right now, I'm surrounded by beautiful trees, palm trees, and green area all around my house. So it's beautiful. Yeah. And also you can find, as I told you, these constructions, there are some that are inside an HOA that have really nice amenities, sports club, private beach clubs. There's some of the other ones that they don't have a private beach club, but they have a sports club, they have wellness center, they have a really nice schools all around, and they have different connections with different beach clubs that you can have or you can work out with them. It depends. Also, we have in Bakalar, the front of lagoon or in the middle of the jungle. There's a lot of land that you can invest in.
That makes perfect sense. So just to recap a little bit of everything, it's very safe to invest in Tulum. It's a beautiful area that is
Yes.
growing. Now you have this international airport that is being built, that is going to be a really state-of-the-art facility that is going to even bring more value to the whole area. You were talking about Bakalar, that is for you the new place to invest in
Yes.
Mexico. It's like a place that is really going to grow in the coming years. There's a nice market for Airbnb. It's really something that is being developed. So not only people want to experience all-inclusive hotel, now they also want to have more of this local experience, because there is so many like cultural element to go see while you're there. Just to give like a price range, because we touched many points on condos and construction and everything. I think we already narrowed down this construction part. Can we give an idea of what would be the starting budget, like someone that can't afford 200 or 300,000? What would be the starting point in the product that you have for sale right now? That being condominium, houses, everything. What would be the smallest entry level price that you would get?
For example, in Tulum, I have a really nice condos, really nice studios or one bedroom for around $100,000, maybe a little bit less. But these ones that I'm talking to you of 100,000, and this is what came to my head really fast, right? Because we have a lot of more options, but amazing location, really near the beach. I have a starting price point around $100,000. Beautiful condos and studios. So yeah, you can find out, as I told you, maybe starting price point 80, 85, 89. And from there, remember that I try to give you developers that have good quality, because maybe we can find something cheaper than that. Yeah, but I don't know if the quality will be the same.
I remember perfectly, because me being myself, when we were in Tulum together, I told you like, hey, show me something very cheap. And I remember we've been seeing this apartment that was, the quality was absolutely awful. And you were like, yeah, but like you asked me for something cheap. This is something cheap.
Yes,
So I know that probably if you're saying that this one is a good quality, it
yes.
definitely is. So for this price, for example, to narrow down on this one, 100,000, you say it's close to the beach, nice area. What kind of facilities do you have in the residence for this kind of price? Like, do you have all the thing like gym, pool, like all these
Yeah,
things?
they have a really nice pool area. They have a really nice gym, and around this area, you can also have like commercial spaces where you can go and eat and have lunch, and nice restaurants around. So the location, it's really good location. They provide really nice amenities. For example, on these ones around the pool, they have really nice trees all around the pool, and it gives you like, you feel, you said it, if it was in Bali all around the jungle, something like that, and you can feel it and see it. It's beautiful.
What would the HOAs be on something like that? Like to give an idea.
In Tulum, usually the HOA goes around 2.5 to $3.5 per square meters. So that's that's usually what they have for the HOA. You can find a little bit less, and it's in good projects. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, this includes all the facilities. Like everything I've seen is amazing pool. Like I remember one of them, it was set up like a lagoon almost.
Yeah.
You have like the gym. I've seen like restaurants, barbecue stuff, ping pong table, and also security. Like you have guards on site, concierge, all of that. So it's really the same as you would find in one of those very nice residents in Miami.
Yes.
It's really an equivalent. Okay, well, Mauricio, it's been a little bit more than 1 hour. We
It's
went a little bit over. Just to so we already recapped everything. Can you tell a bit more? I don't know if you have any last word for the audience, and then share where people can find you if they want to get in touch with you.
okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I feel really honored. As I told you at the beginning, my native language is not English, And I felt like sometimes yeah, I understand, but you live in Florida, so for me, it was like I was really nervous to be here, but I really enjoy it, and I hope that we can meet again and see again. Hope that you can come soon. Okay, where can they find us? Well, in Instagram, my personal Instagram is Los Güereca, is Los-Güereca. I think I send it to you. Maybe we can share it. Yeah.
Everything in the description below, so they will be able to click and get in touch with you.
Perfect. And the website for our company is Top Investments. But I would love to, for the people that are listening and for the audience, if you want to get in contact with us, with John, and John can come to us, and it will be amazing.
I will link everything in the description. This video is going to be on YouTube, so if you guys want to get in touch with Mauricio, as you can see, he's very knowledgeable on this local market, and he's living here. He loves the US as well. I know that you're a fan of the Dolphins, so. You spent
I'm fan of the Bills. No? I'm fan of the Bills, but I went to see that Bills Dolphins. I understand that this will hurt for you. That's bad for you, but
that's not very good.
Yeah,
but yeah, I know that you spend quite some time here in Florida, and you're traveling to the US very often. So
we love to go to. I went to Orlando. I love to go to Orlando with my kids, to Disney. I try to go to see the Dolphins versus the Bills because it's really near where we live, and I love it.
Mauricio, thank you so much for your time, and let's talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hard and you aiming for the 7 figures. Hear from the experts who know how to deliver success stories, plenty advice. Time for you to rise. REI Tribe, yeah. Real estate agents to investors. All my entrepreneurs, time for you to check this. Johan Direct, he's getting it started, man. From running businesses to digital marketing. Hey, REI Tribe. REI Tribe. Let's go.